Let's continue with the post API. So down below async data, type data. Okay, so what is the difference between data and async data? The simplest answer is data is processed on the client side. For async data, section is processed on the server side. You only use async data if you are doing an API calls, because we want to load the data first so that the data can be crawled by Google. So next thing is to set up our model so that we can access it in our DOM. So return category ID will be null, owner ID will be null, and then title, we have price, probably 0. Let's make this as empty string. And then we have description, be empty as well. And then we have a selected file, will be null. And then we have file name, will be empty string. So we are done with creating the models so that we can map the model to the right input field. So let's do that. Copy this and go to category and put here v model, so that when you change this option, then this model will be set to that value. So let's go to here and do this, and let's do it for this as well. Models owner ID, and then for title would be in input, and we had at v model title. We can copy this and paste it here, and this will be price. It will be price. And then in text area, this will be description. Okay, and then in here, file will be a different method, and that's it. And now we gotta change this to file name. Okay, now we have to have the ability to choose a file and store it in selected file. We need to create a method to do so. So let's create a method. Here will be methods, and we call it on file selected. We pass in an event as the argument, and then this dot selected file equals to event target dot files, and then this, because we want to add file name, and it will be file name equals to, copy this dot name. And now we have to bind this method to our input type field. So copy this, go to our input file, which is this, and add change to bind the method equals to the name of the method. Add change is used only for when you want to change something. Like in our case, we are selecting a photo. So by selecting photo, you keep changing the value. So what this function does, it will select the file that you chose and set it to this dot selected file. So let's console log. Okay, you have to add this, because if you don't add this, then you get an error. And go to Chrome and refresh and try to select any photo. Go to static files and try to add any of the images. Click Einstein, and there you have it. This is the location, the name, everything you have from the file object. Next thing is to create a method to trigger post API. So let's go to here and create another method, which will be on add product. Okay, and then let data equals to new form data, and then data dot append will be title, and then this dot title. Make sure that this title will be the same as the one in the server. So if you go to product.js, make sure that you follow the body name, which is title, description, and stock quantity. Now let's go back to our product.view. Let's do it here, and then this price. Sorry, description, price, and then description, and then we have, how about we just copy this, paste it here, and this will be owner ID. Okay, and then this will be category ID, and then last but not least, it would be photo, and then it will be this dot selected file, make sure you spell it correctly, and this dot selected file dot name. Okay, and then we want to pass in 2D Axios, which will be let result equals to await this dot Axios post, which will be HTTP localhost 3000 API, and then products, and we pass in this data to the body. Okay, and then finally you want to do this once everything is good, then you want to push it to the home page. Now we have an error, which is we added the await but we forgot to add a sing. Always remember to add a sing if you want to do await. Save it. Now there will be no error. So you can access Axios via this as well, because we did configure Axios as part of the Nux project. It has become part of the Nux object. If you go to nux.config and if you scroll down, as you can see, we have made it as part of the module, so you can access the Axios object directly by using this. Why are we doing form data? Why not just send the entire model? If you remember in Postman, so let's go to Postman. If you want to include photo into the mix, we have to change the data format to form data. If you want to send only text or numbers, then sending the model straight is enough, which is using www-form-url encoded. So that's the difference. And then finally, once we have the data, and then we are attaching the data into the Axios post body. In our server, Post API will receive this body and save it to the database. And the final step is to redirect the user to the homepage once everything is done. But before we test this out, we have to make some configuration in our server. So let's go to routes, and in here we have to add owner ID, category ID, and we forgot to add price. So let's do that. Product.owner ID equals to request.body.owner ID. And then product.category ID equals to request.body.category ID. And last but not least is product.price equals to request.body.price. And if you remember, we don't have stock quantity, so we gotta configure it on the front end as well. So let's go to here. Let's add stock quantity equals to 0. We're gonna make it null instead. We're gonna make it 1 by default. And then we're gonna add data append, which will be stock quantity. Make sure the name is the same as in the server body, and change it to here. And then we gotta copy price input, paste it here, change this to stock quantity. Then model will be stock quantity. Stock quantity. Alright, now everything is perfect. So let's test this out. But I just want to tell you that if we test this out, you're gonna face a problem. Let me show you what is the problem. So let's go to Chrome. Okay, let's refresh this page, and let's try to add a title, which will be Game of Thrones. Price will be $29. Stock quantity will be 7, and then description of the book is, this book is amazing. And we choose a photo, which will be Game of Thrones. And then if we try to add, it's not gonna do anything. You know why? Because we forgot to bind a method to this add product. So let's do that. So let's copy this add product and let's go to the button and then bind it, which will be click because you are clicking the button, and pass the method. So we binded the method to the span tag. So let's choose book, just choose any of the author, das, and then click add. And as you can see, it shows network error. It shows that XML HTTP request has been blocked by course policy. What is that? Response to pre-flight request doesn't pass access control check. No access control allow origin header is present on the requested resource. What is course? Let's learn course from this diagram. Imagine you have a browser and the browser make a request to the server, and then one of the endpoints get triggered, and then it will respond back with a body of data. The problem right now is that it gets blocked. Why? Because the server has not implemented a course policy. The web pages that you visit make frequent requests to load assets like images, fonts, or an API to get the data from many different places across the internet. If these requests for endpoints or assets go unchecked, the security of your browser may be at risk. For example, your browser may be subject to hijacking, or your browser might blindly download a malicious code, which is really bad. As a result, many modern browsers follow security policies to avoid such risks, which in our case is course. So the goal here is to implement course in our server. By setting up course in our server, we are telling our browser that we are following the policy, and let us proceed with the response, which is the body. It's like an immigration officer that asks you whether you bring your passport or not. If you don't bring your passport, then you cannot proceed. But if you do have your passport, obviously you can proceed to the next level. You only need to implement course if only you have two separate or multiple apps communicating with each other. In our case, we have app written in Vue and Nux as the front end, and we have another app that is written in Node.js as our server. Let's go to our server and implement course. So go to your server, server.js, and you want to cancel your server first. Okay. And then npm install course --save, and then you want to require the file up here, which will be course equals to require course. Save this, and then we want to install it as part of the middleware course. Okay, and now let's restart the server. Listing on port 3000. Alright, let's go to our Chrome and let's refresh this page, and let's change back to book. Okay, Game of Thrones. Price will be 29, stock will be 7, and then finally this book is amazing. Add a photo, which should be Game of Thrones, and then let's click add. It will be a little bit slow, but there's no course like error on our console.log, meaning it's doing something. Now it is safe. The reason why it is a bit slow is because of the image we gotta store in S3 first, hence why. But there's a lot of ways to bypass that by just, instead of waiting, we can just go to this page first and then let the processing happen behind the scene. So let's check our database and refresh this. Alright, it is safe. Game of Thrones, amazing. We have successfully created a page that consumes GET APIs and as well as sending data to our server via POST API. Good job, everyone. Really proud of you guys. In the next video, we are going to do something very similar, which is creating our form page for category. I want you to try to create by yourself by using the product view as an example. I'll see you guys in the next video.